Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Amateur Sports for your Toronto Raptors off-season reporting here for Tuesday, June 6th, or June 3rd, sorry. Tuesday, June 3rd. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, hanging out with me here today. Going to go for about an hour discussing various things such as the Giannis trade reports that have emerged, which I've also done a full video on if you do want to get some more in-depth on that. We're going to talk about RJ Barrett getting shopped, which, goes a little bit hand in hand with the Giannis Antetokounmpo trade situation, which is brewing right now. And we'll also discuss a little bit of the NBA Finals and, a little bit of a pesky Pascal Siakam Hall of Fame debate, because I wonder, after winning that Eastern Conference Finals MVP, I wonder how much more Siakam would have to do to get to the Hall of Fame. How much further does Pascal Siakam have to go to reach the Hall of Fame? We got a new subscriber here, PW. Thank you so much for subscribing. Welcome to the Amateur Hour Army. Really appreciate that. Video I did earlier today is doing numbers. It's doing well, which typically leads to more subscribers, which we could see over the course of over the stream today. So we shall see. Thank you for helping make that one do well here. We'll see. Anyways, how's everything been, guys? I missed out on the stream last week. Sorry, there's some work stuff going on. There never isn't, but there's some work stuff going on. I was just reading there. Yeah, what's been going on? I missed out on last week's stream as a result of some dinner plans with some family, and like my schedule is super tight, and that was like one of the only days that worked for most people. So I was like, okay, I'll miss out on one stream here today. It is what it is. So apologies for missing out on that one, but today is a good day not to miss with everything that has been going down. So what's going on? 2 weeks is a long time. My company, where I do my main job, YouTube is not my means of supporting my livelihood. I do have a job. We moved offices, one that's closer to me now, so I'm happy about that. Moving close to my office. Office moving close to me, easier to walk there. Cut down my walking time by, I think, like 83%. So I'm happy about that. Other than that, just trudging along, making videos. I've been doing 2 a week lately. I need to get back to doing 3 a week. Just been busy. Stuff's coming up. The office move has been a bit of a pain, but hopefully coming out on the other side of that. But, we're cruising. And I do need to start getting some draft videos in very, very soon. NBA draft is 3 weeks away, and I haven't done any player-specific videos as of yet, so I do need to start diving in on those. Thankfully, the higher up the Raptors are, the easier it is to kind of, predict who's going to be available in that region, who the Raptors are going to be looking at, as compared to, like, 19th overall pick last year. There's a whole wide range of players the Raptors could have taken with the 19th overall pick. That range is much smaller when you get to the down to the 9th overall pick, which the Raptors have. So we'll be looking at a few players. Common Malawash will obviously get a full video. I think Derek Queen will. Well, maybe I could lump guys into positions to make it a bit easier on myself, because even like 3 weeks, if I did the exact amount I could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could do 5 player-specific videos at this point. So probably actually have to lump players into positional categories. So guards the Raptors could draft, centers the Raptors could draft, forwards the Raptors could draft, and then like a final wish list a day before the draft. That'll probably be what it has to come down to, because I just haven't had as much time to prepare as I have in previous years for this, which is a good thing for me because it means I'm busy doing stuff, making shit happen. But bad because I like doing the draft coverage, and it seemed to be a hit every year. Let's see what's up to people in the chat. Sumaya could be watching behind the scenes. So big shout-outs there. One of our members. Jamarian West says, let's go Raptors. Welcome to the stream. Christian Marchioni joining. Saying, what's IQ doing? Well, he wasn't fixing the tech issue with my stream. That was me. Winner One joining as well. One of our stream OGs. Thank you for tuning in. So I hope the Raps don't trade Scotty for Giannis. He has so much potential, but it's not our control. We'll talk about that in just a second here. We also have Daily Berry Sports highlights and ever present with the streams. Happy Tuesday to you as well. I'm going to see a movie tonight, so it's going to be a long Tuesday for me. By getting a superstar without a proper team around him, are we going to end up like the Suns with KD? Well, Suns are a little bit of a different boat because the mistake wasn't trading for KD. The mistake was trading for Bradley Beal. Like, that's Bradley Beal is the thing that's crippled them the most. But it's been Bradley Beal alongside like other pretty bad decisions. But a lot of bad decisions have been made because they traded for Bradley Beal, who is wildly overpaid, regressed unbelievably in the last couple of years, and it's a no-trade clause. When Bradley Beal signed that Wizards contract, $50 million a year, no-trade clause, I could not believe my eyes when I saw that. No trade clauses. And another new sub here. John T. Amazon. Thank you for subscribing, whoever it is. Welcome to the Amateur Army. When Bradley Beal signed that contract, I was stunned. No trade clauses are reserved for not just like Hall of Famers, like the best of the best first ballot Hall of Famers, like the LeBrons, the David Robinsons, the Dirks. That's like how good you have to be to get a no trade clause. And the fact that the Wizards not only gave him that, but then 1 year into that contract of 5 years, so 4 more years to go, the Suns traded for it. That was the astonishing move. That not only did the Wizards give him this foul contract, it's the Suns who saw that foul contract, traded for him. Like, just ridiculous. This is a player option for 26, 27, which he's going to take. Nobody's paying him anywhere close to that. He has fallen off. And they can't build around that team because they have no money. So, yeah, long way of saying the Suns horrifically mismanaged their roster. And it wasn't trading for KD, which has made them worse. But you do bring up a good point here, Christian, is that, if you're trading for Giannis, a lot of people have said, hey, like, you can't do it without Scotty. You can't make this trade happen if Scotty Barnes isn't included. But also, Giannis doesn't want to come unless Scotty Barnes is still there because he's coming to play with Giannis and Antetokounmpo, with Scotty Barnes because, you want to play next to the star. That's why you go to a place. I guess we'll kind of have to see, like, can we make this trade work without Barnes? Because to me, like, if you're going to make this trade and you do want to keep Scotty, I don't really want to trade Emmanuel quickly because I just think the roster is so clunky if you make this trade and you don't have a point guard. And you still don't really have a starting shooting guard either. Like, you need some form of guard. Is there a way of trading RJ Barrett and other players and getting to $54 million? Okay, I won't include the picks. It'll be like all the picks. So you don't need to include those. Can, like, a trade materialize that doesn't include RJ Barrett and either one of Scotty Barnes or Emmanuel quickly? It has to be Barrett. Like, that's no ifs or buts. You need to put some money in there to get the salaries matched up. I don't even think, like, we can get there. Like we could trade Baji. We could trade Grady Dick. This probably doesn't do it. So how far are we off? Okay. Under the allowable amount by 35. You're over. So we're over by $15 million on the Raptors side here. But we need to add in more Bucks contracts while also taking away $15 million. So, like, what would I even add to get to 15 million? I don't even. You can't. You literally can't add up anything to get to $15 million here. So, Pirtle you can't trade because like you need a center. Giannis playing a center would be super dumb. Cannot be him. Straight up. You need that position. It's either got to be Barnes or Quickly. That's it. RJ Barrett, 1,000% would have to be in this trade. Boucher is not a Raptors player, so you can't put him in because he doesn't play for the Raptors. Jeez, like, it's out of Skyward to Quickly. That's it. So for me, like, you make this trade, Barnes, Barrett, picks, Giannis, that's fine. You're left with Quickly. You're left with Giannis, Ingram, Pirtle. Fantastic 4 players. Maybe you slide Grady Dick into the starting 5 there. Lose a little bit of defense, but okay. Can see it. Maybe, free agent. Probably not, but, maybe. Maybe you draft a shooting guard. That's your starter. Well, actually, you can't draft 9th because you're trading that pick to get Giannis. So, free agent or internal promotion. For Grady Dick, I guess he was starting last season, so it's not even really a promotion for him. So, yeah, if you want to make this trade, it has to be Barrett and one of Barnes or Quickly as the players. It just absolutely has to be. Can Raptors pull off trade for Giannis and Durant? No. One. They can have one. Maybe. What are my thoughts on a package? Scotty, Grady, Ochebaji, 9, and 2 first Giannis. Doesn't work. Not enough money. Not enough money going out in that scenario, I don't think. Well, actually, can it be? Maybe I'm. Let's see. Maybe it is. Maybe it can work. Let's see. Oh, wow. So it does work. So I haven't thought about it from just Barnes, no Barrett. Interesting. I hadn't thought about it that way. I kind of been under the impression that, as I said earlier, has to could Barrett. But you're right. It could just be Scotty Barnes and then 2 players. And you keep RJ Barrett. So now you have Quickly, Barrett, Giannis, Ingram, Pirtle, which floor spacing is tragic. Absolutely tragic on that team. But, like, is there enough scoring power to make it work? That's an interesting one for sure. A lot of people think Barnes, you just cannot trade at all. Just Barrett doesn't work. If it's going to be one of, like, the top players, it can be Barnes because he makes way more. But well, actually, I haven't tried with Quickly. He doesn't make that much less. Let's try with Quickly. Can't just be Barrett. It cannot just be Barrett. Oh, wow, even just Quickly works. Interesting. That's not getting it done. Like, they're just going to say no to that trade. I think if it's going to be Barrett, then it has to also be probably Quickly. Or then it would have to be just Barnes. But I think Barnes gets it done, honestly. I'm pretty tempted if it's just Barnes, man. I'm sorry, but we're immediate contender if we trade for Giannis. We are not a contender if we don't. We're hopefully a playoff team without Giannis. We are a contender with him. That is a huge difference. Kind of tough. I don't know what the Raptors are thinking here. Giannis for RJ, Jakob Poeltl, and the picks. I think you're seriously going to struggle without Poeltl. Like, you're just seriously going to struggle without a big. I think that position is so important. I look at the playoffs. People are talking about, like, defensive guards and such, but I look at the playoffs and think, man, like, having a good center is pretty important as well. I guess Pacers got there with Turner, who's solid, but unspectacular as a rebounder or defender. I don't know. I'm really. I just feel really against trading for Pirtle. I think you're. I think Giannis is just way better when he's got that caliber of center next to him, and I think you just be not getting the most out of Giannis if you don't have a guy like Pirtle next to him. Is Barnes a deal? Giannis have enough around him to be significantly better? Yeah, that's a fair point. Doesn't have Barnes, does it work? If it's just Barnes, I mean, quickly Barrett, Ingram, Giannis, Pirtle is pretty good. It's pretty freaking sick. You do miss, like, in that case, then you're trading up Baji and Grady Dick, who are your two best shooters. So that's a problem. Two of your best shooters, at least. That's a problem. It's tough to make work, but you get 3 years of Giannis. Like, you don't even need to, in year one, it doesn't need to be completely figured out, I suppose. It's tough. I'm very intrigued by Giannis. I think he is he is a piece that you're immediately a contender, basically, if you have him. So I'm prepared to do something that needs to be done here. Just reports about the Suns starting to lower the request for KD. Maybe we go for a discounted KD, giving away less than young core future picks. Have a 1 to 2 year shot at the week East. Yeah, KD's KD's not a surefire guy for me for a trade. His age and injury history worries me a bit. Let's just see. So it's $54 million again. So same sort of stipulations here. Same stipulation. It's to afford it. It's Barnes, quickly Abaji. It's quickly and Barrett. It's Barrett and Barnes. It's the same thing. You have to go up quite a bit in order to make this trade happen, it would seem. Because, yeah, they can't take on additional salary. Well, they can shed salary, but we can't take on additional salary. Like, let's just, for the sake of seeing this. How much are we off? We're off by $15 million again. So, once again, it is Barrett and quickly, or it's Barnes, Dick, and Abaji. So they are overpaying for Kevin Durant there. So Kevin Durant seemed a little bit more difficult to maneuver for me looking at it. If somebody wants to, like, give me another way, then that would be interesting. I mean, you could say Pirtle as well, but then, like, okay, we need a center, so do we take back, Nick Richards? No, thank you. So, he's only making $5 million, but that is not a starting center. Absolutely not. Yeah, you add in third teams, and then it gets more difficult. 3-team trades are no-team trades. I guess, you keep Barnes, you go, if you trading Pirtle means you keep Barnes, then, then you try to find a center elsewhere. Do you have to really shell out for a significant big if Giannis is there as well? You don't need a player as good as that. Also a fair point, but there's different ways the Raptors can get this trade done. If I see Scotty trade, I'm taking a break from this team. What if they traded Scotty Barnes and no picks for Giannis? Then it would be like the greatest trade of all time. Then would we still be upset? Raptors are trying to win here. I wonder what I wasn't on YouTube at the time, but I do wonder what was the. I know what it was, but I would have loved to have seen the chat's consensus on the DeRozan trade for Kawhi, because I imagine it would have been just absolute pandemonium, anarchy in this chat and on comments. Because when it happened, I would have been like, "Hey, we're clearly not good enough to get over the line here. Divs gives us at least a 1-year surefire shot at a championship. It wasn't working with DeRozan. Why not take a stab at this?" That was my thought at the time. I was in the minority, and maybe people won't admit to it, but there were a lot more than half of the Raptors fan base who did not like the Kawhi Leonard trade at the time. That's at least the consensus I gather. So I wonder what the chat and comments would have looked like after that trade. Because, granted, DeRozan I think is a lot easier to have traded than Scotty Barnes, but certain trades are worth taking that risk and moving on a player like that. You know? OKC anyone by playing great individual defense and team defense. Indiana won by playing high-octane, full-court offense, I would say, more so than team defense. Like, their pace of play, I think, was their most potent weapon. Cavs couldn't compete with it. Neither could the Knicks. Knicks lost because their two best players are not good defenders. It's part of it, but their team's not deep enough. I think that was a great concern because the Pacers just ran them off the floor at times. The defense was a bit of it. You do need defense, you know. Point of attack defense is helpful as well. Like Nesmith being able to play there was big. I wouldn't say New York lost because of Towns and Brunson not being able to play defense as well. And a guy like Giannis, other guys will follow, trade Barnes and whoever else, in my opinion. You'd like to think that the Raptors don't really have the cap space to utilize the pull there. And I still, I don't think I could ever confidently bet on free agency for the Raptors, even with Giannis on the team. It's not something that's ever worked out. People aren't going to take discounted contracts to play here to make less money because of the tax situation. I just don't see that. So I'll never bank on free agency helping the Raptors. We have to just assume that free agency won't be beneficial to us because it literally has never been beneficial to the Raptors. I think you go back to the mid-2000s, I forget his name, the last time the Raptors made a signing that actually helped them that season. Like, seriously helped them that season in free agency. So can't really bank on that, you know. Didn't include Barnes the first round of KD talks. Now I am now the Suns might have to sell lower. Much different world than at the time, because I would agree to the time Barnes, if he's on the table, you don't do it because Barnes, look at all the potential. Now we have 3 more years of evidence for Scotty Barnes, or is it 2 more? When was the KD stuff? KD stuff was 3 years ago, wasn't it? So Barnes was coming off Rookie of the Year. He had 3 more years on a cheap contract. Now it's different. We had 3 more years of evidence of Scotty Barnes. He's on the fat fucking contract now, which is easier to consider trading than on a rookie contract for 3 years. Completely different situation now than it was at the time. And I am much more fond of Giannis right now than I was of Kevin Durant 3 years ago. So I am much more confident in the player we're trading for, hypothetically, and more confident in trading away the asset in question in Scotty Barnes. I love Scotty Barnes. I think sky's still the limit, but sometimes you got to really consider something like this, you know? Go for Jaren Jackson Jr. Memphis won't trade him. Thibodeau did get fired. That was a little interesting. I don't know. I think the Knicks will be slightly hard-pressed to get the same results as this season. However, the track record would suggest that Tibbs probably has taken them as far as he is capable of taking them as an NBA head coach. Kind of tough, where it's like, it'll be hard to do what he did, but somebody else will be able to take them further, potentially, than what Tibbs could do. So, I feel bad for Tibbs for that reason, but kind of makes sense. Shed's not a starting point guard. It's no chance he's there. He's there yet. I want to say no chance, but I really don't think so. But if Brandon Ingram's the guy to trade. Yeah, like, that can happen. That would be extremely, extremely bad look and scummy by the Raptors, I think. And I just love the fit of Giannis next to Brandon Ingram. But yeah, you're right. I guess Brandon Ingram could be the person to trade. I'd be very shocked, though. I'd be very shocked. Family's mostly attached to DeRozan. Masai has made a winning culture. Well, he had made one, at least. Yeah, I was out on DeRozan. I thought time was up. We all these years of the playoffs where he hadn't played well. It was finally time to go. Like, this guy's not going to get us over the line. It's like maybe it's like Tibbs. We appreciate all the success, but you're not the guy that's going to put us over the line. I don't know. Maybe it's similar to that in a way. Barnes, Barrett, Walker, the other two-year guy. The other 2-year guy. What? Andrew Bryan, subscribe. Welcome to the Amateur Army. Appreciate it. Barnes, Barrett, Walker. Walker. Oh, Walter. Like, who the fuck you talking about? Barnes, Barrett, Walter, and another player and picks Giannis. That's I think we're approaching maybe trading too much there. I don't think Walter needs to be involved if it's Barnes and Barrett. If Giannis says, I want to go to the Raptors, and Doug Smith of the Toronto Star, who I don't treat as a super credible source, but okay, has some information, I guess. If what he says is true and there's mutual interest, if Giannis says to the Bucks, trade me to Toronto, if the Raptors include Scotty Barnes in that trade, Giannis is here tomorrow. Tonight, that trade gets done, I think. If Giannis says, trade me here, Giannis, and the Raptors say, well, you can have Barnes and the picks. Trade's done. Trade's done tomorrow. Quickly in the 9th pick for Darius Garland. Cleveland say no. That doesn't solve Cleveland's problems. I think Cleveland will still be hampered by a little bit of lack of spacing from the bigs. That was much less of a problem this year than I anticipated it to be. I think they will continue to struggle not having a point of attack defender. Just having both of your guards unable to stop the opposition guards is a problem. And it could be a problem for the Raptors as well, granted. But to go up against seemingly Brunson and Halliburton next year as well, they could not stop the guards. And that will be a problem continuing going forward. Are they good enough to circumvent that? They might be. But it's hard to make the perfect team. OKC might be close, but then again, they're missing a lot of shooting. They just make up for it in other ways. But if they're trading Garland, I think some significant defensive challenges. I wonder, like, Boston are cutting salary this year. I'm wondering if Drew Holiday is on Cleveland's radar. That's what I think they should maybe look to do. I don't know. Gonna date a Bucks enough to honor his request, though. Just look at Dame. I guess not, but Dame in the end expressed a desire to go to the Bucks. I think if Dame had picked somewhere else, they would have probably sent him there, I think. The Bucks don't have to honor his request, but they probably will. I don't really see KD to the Raptors. I'm not buying that. None of the last few championship teams built their roster by swinging for a superstar. Maybe it's better to keep building a young core. 2018 was a 1 in 1 million. Admittedly, it was much less than 1 in a million. What would I wager the probability of the Raptors championship? Ooh, I don't know. Probably 1 in 30. 1 in 30. It's a pretty big. 1 in a million. Pretty egregious number. The formula for success? Well, let's see OKC this year. Okay. Trade Paul George all the picks, but get an MVP in return for trading Paul George in the end. That's why they're in the finals. They have a great team, but also they had a ton of insanely high picks, and then they also have an MVP on their team. Boston, yeah, they spent a lot of time developing, made some incredible business moves along the way. Let's not forget, they traded a lot to get some of the not a lot actually, but they made big trades to bring in big players, but it was supplemented by the existing core in place of Brown and Tatum. So they hit big on the drafts and did really well to build around them. The Nuggets drafted an MVP in the second round. So like, if Jonathan Mobley becomes an MVP, outlook is different for the Raptors. But like what's the year before that? The Warriors, Steph Curry, 2-time MVP. Like, yeah, if you have a MVP on your roster, sure, you can wait a little bit. But if you don't have that talent already brewing there, seemingly, which I don't think the Raptors do, I don't think there's a championship in this current core. But it certainly looked that way for a number of years for the Thunder, who haven't won yet, but will continue to be a threat if they don't win this year. And I think they will win this year. Boston looked for a number of years like they will be a championship contender. Like they were really good on when Tatum Brown was super young. They took Boston to Game 7 one year. Was it 2018? Jokic is the best player in the NBA. Like that's probably not coming through the pipeline in Toronto. So you can look at the recent run of NBA champions and say it wasn't like a big trade that got them there, but they drafted MVPs. Like even for the Bucks, they did make a huge trade to get Drew Holiday to supplement that core because they already had an MVP caliber player in Giannis. So in some way, you got to get an MVP caliber player. The Raptors don't have that right now. Giannis is 100,000% MVP caliber. Kawhi not getting injured at all was a 1 in 1,000. 1 in 30, I think, is the right number. 1 in 40, maybe. Sabonis, my take is I don't think that's solving. I don't think that's solving the issues. If it's like super cut price, I mean, sure, but like I don't know how much this solves. Like, I don't really want to trade Pirtle for him. I don't really want to play him next to Pirtle with the rest of the roster the way it looks. Like, I'm actually not opposed to a tandem of Sabonis and Pirtle. It's just you got to make up a ton of spacing elsewhere. And I think Raptors don't have the capability of doing that. I'm not personally in on Sabonis. The stars I am like 100% in on. Well, just Giannis. I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty high percentage in on Trae Young, which a lot of people won't be. Lonzo to a contender, D-Money Production says. Yeah, I think a contender could use that sort of player. Not a big contract, good defensive when he's healthy, good defensive point guard who can shoot. And there's a spot for that in the NBA. I like Lonzo. I think there's talent there. The story obviously makes you want him to succeed, so I think it could work. I think Sabonis is great. I just, the fit, like he's not a good defender, so like you trade Pirtle for him now, you're like really, really missing stuff on defense. On offense, on offense, I like it quite a lot, but I'm not super convinced. Devin Booker's interesting. I don't think the Suns will trade him, though. Garland, can't really... Like, he's better than Quickly, but, like, is he light years better than Quickly, Jalen Johnson's fantastic, by the way. The Hawks can stake a lot on building around him. Barnes, Barrett, a 27 and 29 first. Keep the depth. Keep 2 firsts. You have better depth. Keep the shooting and all the young guys. If Milwaukee go for it, maybe. I'm not sure they go for that. But Barnes, Barrett, 2 picks, not including the 9th pick. If Milwaukee are willing, I'd probably do that because you have the 9th pick to, address a need, which will probably be shooting guard in that scenario. You even have, You can even trade that for somebody else, too. Like, you use the 9th pick to trade for somebody else, right? Yeah, Garland's no doubt an upgrade over quickly. I'm not disputing that. I'm just, like, how much of an upgrade to make it? So, like, are you trading quickly and a pick to get Garland? I don't know. I don't even think Cavs would do that. Zach LaVine. You know, I am further in on Zach LaVine than most people. I think we're at the point where Zach LaVine has been labeled so overrated that he's now underrated. Because Zach LaVine had a good year. Now, his fit with DeRozan isn't great, but Zach LaVine can take, you know, like, he took 7 threes a game last season. I think he could start taking more. So I think there's a high volume and very efficient three-point shooter. Like last season, this was an anomaly for him. Last season, he shot 45% from 3. Now, he's not going to do that every year, but you can realistically expect high 30s. Especially on a good team where he's getting more space. High 30s. Especially by 8, 9, 10 attempts per game. Very good shooter. Very efficient as a player overall. Let's true shooter. Is he a good free throw shooter? He is, right? He's like 80s. Yeah. Mid to low 80s. Which is true shooting. True shooting, Christ. Wow. Last year it was 64. Goodness me. But a lot of years, he's in the 60s. You know, he's getting older. He's good. He can't play defense. Question his motivations, but Zach LaVine's good. You know, what if you get Zach LaVine and Sabonis? Now are we talking? No, because he's got it. No, it can't be Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine would be like, you know, you have Giannis. Now Zach LaVine comes in and helps because you need Zach LaVine to have a more tamed role. Yeah, Zach LaVine and Brandon Ingram and Scotty Barnes. I don't know. I really don't know about that. Yeah, and you can't even really afford the contract anyways. LaVine makes like $45 million, I think. Yeah. Bad news. Can't afford that. Anyways, we'd just be the Kings. Yeah, we would just be the Kings. So no. I do like LaVine, but no, unfortunately. All right. 20 minutes in here. Would Raps trigger trade at the draft or wait to the deadline? Depends if they get a good offer. Maybe they consider doing it. If they made a huge trade, I would suspect it would come closer to free agency rather than the draft. Big thing to work out. In theory, you should do it before the draft. I don't know. A lot has to happen. I think in the end, no trade is going to happen. But I think we have a legitimate shot at this. Like we have a very real, serious shot at landing Giannis this summer. I don't think anything will happen in the end. I would say it's more likely than not, no trade happens. We run it back. But the possibility absolutely, positively exists. Absolutely does. Raptors move up in the draft. I don't think they're going to move up in the draft. They're going to keep those assets to make the big trade. If we get quickly for Trae Young, give up picks, I'd be all over that. I would as well. I really do think Trae Young is a winner and a difference maker. And I think he's been done extraordinarily dirty by the Hawks. That DeJounte Murray trade, good grief, was that bad. It was bad from the start. It didn't make sense from the start. 45. So quickly, Abaji, so we don't have to pay him. Stat enough? Yeah. I like it. Your playmaking gets infinitely better. Your spacing is a lot better. I think now you can even run it with RJ. Your defense is going to be... You're going to have to outscore your opponent. Your defense will be lacking. RJ's going to have to take a leap, but you're a big team at that point. Beyond Trae Young. It'd have to be... Barrett have to step up defensively there. But it's not... I don't think it's an egregious thing to think about. Yeah, package Abaji so you don't have to pay him. I'm with you. You're Ben Rodgers. I don't know how good he is. I'm not very good, so probably him. I'm more of a, what a name here. Chiozo Evolved One Studios has subscribed. Thank you for subscribing. Welcome to Amateur Army. I'm more of a complementary piece on a basketball team, meaning, I'm a pretty good defender, especially at the rim, but I move my feet well for my size, which, I'm point guard size for the NBA, but, in normal people height-wise, I'm big enough to be a center. I like playing, that's a 4. Can shoot a little bit, can make my layups, can run in transition, but I'm not handling the ball. I actually am a good passer. Got good vision, soccer trait, but not a good ball handler. I'm not running the show on a good team. On a bad team, I'm a do-it-all. I can do everything. On a good team, I'm off to the side. So I'm definitely not a 1v1 threat. Able to make the decisions way more important than in the past. They do. But we're still seeing a ton of trades now. Like we thought with the Abram, no, we won't see any big trades happen. We're seeing more big trades than ever, which is kind of strange, but just how it's happened. A lot of stars becoming available. Dixon Sider, thank you. Love both your channels. Thank you. I don't know which ones you're referring to, but thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Dixon Sider. What a great name. Our team would be stacked with Ice Trae. I like Trae Young a lot. I think a lot of people underrate him. Portis back in the trade from the Bucks to match salary. Our issue is getting to the salary. It's not that we have to take back more, Curious to see Ingram play with this core of Giannis elsewhere in the trade. So am I. Earlier today, how many picks would you give up for Giannis? 4 plus swaps. 4 plus 2 swaps, I think. I don't really want to go 5. 4 plus 2 is probably where I'd go. I was listening to the Hoop Collective podcast yesterday in the wake of the NBA Finals. We're going to switch topics a little bit here. So I used a clip from that podcast to spark the video I did today, which was about trading for Giannis and Brian Windhorst, who I very much respect as a source. Brian Windhorst does not give a shit about clout. He does not give a shit about, getting his name out in media. He just reports what he knows. That's my perception of him. He'll report what he knows, and if it's not concrete, he's not going to talk about it because he wanted it to look bad on himself. So when he says the Raptors are big fish hunting, I believe him wholeheartedly. Amongst the conversation that was had about Giannis coming, there was a conversation on the podcast from Brian Windhorst, Tim Bontemps, Tim McMahon. I am a regular listener to this podcast. There was a conversation about Pascal Siakam, how he was a former Raptor, OG Anunoby, and Fred VanVleet, former Raptors. It is a little bit souring to look back on last season's team and think, wow, Siakam just won Conference Finals MVP. I like Ingram, but he is not as good as Siakam, which they pointed out very bluntly in the podcast. Wow, OG Anunoby is the perfect piece for a team that wants to win a championship. Raptors had him. And they had Fred VanVleet, who was an instrumental part of a team that won at least, I don't know how many wins they had, but at least 50 games. And all three of those guys were on the Raptors a couple of years ago, and Scotty Barnes was on that team. So it stings a little bit. I was okay with all the trades. Obviously, I wasn't okay with letting Fred walk, but Houston gave an offer that we couldn't match. I was okay with kind of how it all happened. It's just I was anticipating a much longer rebuilding process. Like if we were going to make this big splash on Brandon Ingram a year after trading Siakam, it was kind of like, why didn't we just keep all these guys who didn't want to leave? Siakam wanted to stay. That was very apparent. The Raptors offered him max. He would have stayed. Pacers did give him one, and he's been to back-to-back conference finals. He just won conference finals MVP. They're in the finals this year. OG, like, everyone's singing his praises. It's a little bit souring to look back on, knowing we had guys who wanted to stay here. We didn't really want to pay them, and we're trying to be good again. It's like, if we want it to be good, why don't we just keep these guys? I think the big issue was I almost feel like the 5 seed year was a problem. We were 5th seed, and it kind of justified the positionless lineup they were going for. If they had 1 year earlier, like instead of trading for Thaddeus Young, if they had traded for a starting center, I think this whole situation turns out differently. I think Siakam's still here. I think OG's still here. I think Barnes is still here. I don't know about Fred because of the money, but I think this whole thing looks really different now. So it's just a shame the timing of that Yak trade because I like him. I thought it was a bad trade at a bad time. I like that we have him, but I thought the timing was horrible on that trade, which it was, and it hurt us a little bit, and it just made us have to give up on that team. And I also think what didn't help is I'm still not a fan of Darko, and I think absolutely, not saying it was wrong to hire him necessarily in the moment because it seemed like a good guy to take a gamble on, but I think they got it wrong, and the Raptors struggled at the gate with Siakam and Barnes, who clearly were fantastic players. I don't think Darko did a good enough job of getting the most out of those guys alongside OG Anunoby. And Pirtle, who was on that team. And in the end, we decided to back out of that team. So complicated from a lot of different angles. I'm okay with the trade for Ingram because it was just like so cheap to get him. But yeah, you do look at it like, okay, we traded Siakam essentially for Ingram, Jacoby Walter, and Ochai Agbaji. Solid return, yeah, but also like, was there that big of a problem just keeping Siakam? I don't know. If a year later you're going to give up on your rebuilds, was it that big of a need to trade Siakam? I don't know. It's tough. It's a little bit of a sour taste, but like I said, I'm not overly upset with how it transpired. It's just kind of looking back like, maybe we would have been better off not moving these guys. I don't know. It was a bad timeline, yeah. Contracts are coming up. It would have been hard to afford everybody, but I don't know. I think some mistakes were made, and some decisions will be looked back on a little bit regrettably. But we'll see what we can turn it all into. Still, we still have an opportunity to make good of it and use the assets to get somebody big and make the team a contender again. So who knows? No, Tibbs for me, not the right guy for the Raptors. Wonder who goes for him next, though. Trade RJ for Pritchard and Hauser. Get more shooting. So I did reply to your comment on that one on the video when you brought that up, McLovin. I don't think... I mean, yeah, interesting. Because, like, Boston in a bit of a weird year... Like, okay, are they going to now New sub here, Jordan Sinister. Thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the Amateur Army. So I think for Boston, it would help them stay afloat this year. But also, Boston need to cut salary. And this trade doesn't do that. They can't afford it. Need to get $10 more million, which you literally can't do. Financially, you can't. Like, you actually can't do this trade. They have no tradable contracts other than those two you're already getting. So, yeah, it doesn't work. Boston are cutting salary. That doesn't cut salary. I did see HBK Saint. Was it you who shared that comment? Maybe. Try to find it because I have it saved for next. It was you. So I did reply to this comment as well. RJ for Mathurin and Walker helped the Pacers, with another slasher. I actually think they have the spacing to make it work. So I actually kind of like that trade. And I have it saved for the Saturday video where I react to comments as well. But that is really interesting one, HBK Saint. RJ for Mathurin and Walker. That I feel like we could get a bit more because Matherin's out of rotation essentially at this stage of the playoffs, which could knock his value a little bit. Walker's been injured, so I wonder if you can just get a little bit more out of the Pacers for that. But that's an interesting base for a trade 100%. Do I think the Raptors overpaid to keep Emmanuel Quickley? I believe they slightly overpaid in the moment. Vocal about it at the time, so that's more than I wanted to pay. I think it's okay, but I think it's more than I wanted to pay. In a few years, it is going to look fine, and it won't be nearly as high of a percentage of the cap. It's a flat $32.5 million, so it won't be as much towards the cap. And I think in a couple of years, if in a couple of years Emmanuel Quickley is still perceived to be overpaid, we made a mistake. If 2 years from now we go, okay, that's like a reasonable amount of money for a player of his caliber at this point, we did what we had to do, and near the end of the contract, it's going to be easier to work with that amount of money. So I don't... Overpaid a little, yes, but I don't think it's as bad as people are making it out to be. People are treating it like this ridiculous overpay, unbelievable overpay, which I just don't necessarily agree with. If Pakistan was okay signing 4 years, less than 190 mil, versus him wanting 5 years, 255, 305 mil, keep him. Siakam wanted a max. That's it. Give Siakam the max, keep him. I thought Siakam was worth the max at the time. I would have given him the max. I said at the time, I'm okay trading him because you want to rebuild and you're not 100% convinced on the max. Sure, I would have given it to him. I would have given it to him. It's just at the time, it's like Raps aren't going anywhere, so you may as well trade him and get some more value from him now. Trade didn't, go super poorly, but we didn't maximize the value. And again, if we were going to try and be good a year later, why not just keep a guy who's very good and has helped to win a championship before? I think he's worth the max. And Pacers have been more than justified in giving it to him. Do I think Masai is here after his contract? I really don't know. Contract up at the end of the year. I really don't know if Masai is still going to be here. Could be a reason Masai is trying to make a big splash this summer. Might be the last summer he's at the helm. Full season of Quickley, Barrett, Ingram, Scotty, and Pirtle. That's a good 5. We have nice bench pieces. I'd like to see it, but I would prefer seeing Giannis on the team. I'm intrigued to see what they can do, but a player of Giannis' ability isn't always available, and he might be this summer. You might be able to not make the Giannis trade without Barrett. It would have to be Barnes then. And I guess you could shop Barrett elsewhere, which is a possibility too. You can make multiple trades, completely reshape your roster, for sure. Trade Grady and Walter in this potentially Giannis trade. We would need a shooting guard. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking just now, HBK Saint. Like, if you're going to trade, let's say, Barnes, Abaji, Grady Dick for Giannis. Then can you then go to the Pacers and trade RJ for Mathurin Walker? Now you're a bit more filled out, a bit more shooting. Mathurin was pretty good as a starter, but your defense really sucks with Mathurin and quickly as your guards, though. So a lot of moving pieces, a lot of variables, but it is interesting to think about. I agree Rodgers don't want to pay a person with his title as much money as Masai Ujiri makes and will want to make. I also agree Masai will have a new job waiting for him if we do not extend him beyond this season. One day she'll be on the Raptors. I don't know about that, but we'll see. All right, last topic here because it's in the title and I do want to discuss it here. We've talked a lot about Pascal Siakam. We've talked a lot about Pascal Siakam on the show already today. A lot of discussions about if we were going to be good a year later, why didn't we keep Siakam? Would it have been smarter to do that? Regardless, he's on a different team. He's thriving. The Pacers traded for him. And by trading for him, by default, they had to give him the max, which they did. And we're happy to do so after he helped them get to the conference finals. And this year, more than justified in giving him the max contract. They're in the finals again. They're in the conference finals again. They have gotten out to the finals, and he has won Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Completely justified in giving him his max contract. Siakam accomplished so much for the Raptors, starting from like the bottom, really. Late first-round pick, D-League Finals MVP, Most Improved Player in the NBA, NBA Champion, NBA All-Star, All-NBA, two-time All-NBA with the Raptors, two-time All-Star with the Raptors. Did so both times as the first option, which people said he couldn't be. Got them to a 5 seed as the first option on the Raptors. Very, very good player. But now that he's back in the finals, now that he's won Conference Finals MVP, I asked on Twitter, got, some interesting responses. Some that said, basically just laughed it off. But how far away is Pascal Siakam from the Hall of Fame? And I like these hypothetical questions because as of right now, June 3rd, 7:01 p.m. Eastern Time, 2025, finals have not begun yet. It's probably quite a ways away. The Hall of Fame probability index on Basketball Reference has him at 2%. Now, I don't think this has been updated with his conference finals MVP, which it does showcase. But when I last checked this, the conference finals MVP wasn't listed here, and he was still at 2%. So I'm not sure this is updated with a second trip now to the finals for somebody who has already been an NBA champion. Not like, the Hall of Fame probability index here isn't gospel. And there have been players with like 2% chance who have gotten in according to this probability index. But like, he's not there yet. We know that. But what does he have to do? Don't say like he's so far. Okay. However far you think he is from the Hall of Fame, what does he have to do to get there? So let's say Pascal Siakam wins Finals MVP this season. The Pacers win the championship. He's Eastern Conference Finals MVP, which I don't put a ton of stock into, but whatever. Finals MVP, I do. And there's very rarely a case of a Finals MVP not getting into the Hall of Fame. Now, typically, the person who wins Finals MVP already has Hall of Fame credibility existing, which is why they always get in. But he's been a 2-time All-Star with the Raptors. He was a 3-time All-Star now. He's made the All-Star team 3 times. He's been All-NBA twice. If he wins this in Finals MVP, he's a Finals MVP. He is a 2-time champion with opportunity in a weak East to stack up more All-Star appearances, which I'm not gonna bet against him doing. So if he wins Finals MVP this year, big if. Pacers are a big underdog to the Thunder, and Halliburton's the favorite to get it over Siakam. But if he gets it, I don't think he's far off at all. I think at that point, he's got at least a 30% chance in this probability index. And I think like 1 or 2 more All-Star appearances, all of a sudden we're at like 60, 70%. And at that point, like, we're really in the territory where, yeah, I think he's going to end up getting in. So for me, if Pascal Siakam winds up with 5 All-Star appearances, 2 All-NBA appearances, 2 championships, a Finals MVP, and, okay, a Conference Finals MVP to go with it, that's a Hall of Famer. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? And it's not like a ridiculous string of events that needs to happen to get him there. He's no Jordan Nwora. No, he isn't. Was Siakam on the Raptors poster outside the Scotiabank Arena last year? No, he wasn't. But you know who was? Jordan Nwora was. I don't know if you guys saw that, but seriously, there was a banner at Scotiabank Arena. It had Barnes, Barrett, Quickly, and Jordan Nwora. I love when somebody who doesn't follow the team gets put in charge of making the graphic to go on that big poster. SC has subscribed. Welcome to the Amateur Hour Army. So Siakam, 5 All-Stars. So I think the level is 5 All-Star appearances, a Finals MVP, 2 championships, 2 NBA. That for me would get Siakam into the Hall of Fame. And people have said to that sort of notion, he'd be one of the worst people to ever get into the Hall of Fame. You know what? You know what happens to Hall of Fame? They actually, what they do when you get inserted to Hall of Fame, all of like the plaques with like your name and everything, they're actually sorted one by one by how good you are. So like the best player goes first. So like Michael Jordan's in first, and then when LeBron goes to Hall of Fame, he'll take Jordan's spot, right? And then they one by one descend them. There's a humongous list in the Hall of Fame, and Siakam will be near the bottom. So like, does he even want to get to the Hall of Fame? No. You get in the Hall of Fame, you're in the fucking Hall of Fame, right? So it doesn't matter. Like when people try to say like worst champion ever, fake championship, like they're listing them by caliber of champion. You are a champion or you're not. You are in the Hall of Fame or you're not. You are an all-star or you're not. It is black and white. Worst ring ever would still be a ring. Worst Hall of Famer ever. And you know what? Somebody has got that title, probably. They are in the Hall of Fame. So, for me, Siakam has a pathway. It's a treacherous, storm-filled, dark pathway on a beaten dirt path through a scary forest, and there's lightning coming down, there's trees falling, but like there is a pathway. There is a pathway. And if he should so choose to take that treacherous route, and he does get to the level where he does win the finals with the Pacers, win the NBA championship, and he does win Finals MVP, he is very, very close to becoming a Hall of Famer. And that would really sour me as a Raptors fan. I'd be so happy because my love for Pascal Siakam has not wavered. We traded him. He did not want to go. He wanted to stay here. If we offered him the contract the Pacers got him, he'd still be a Toronto Raptors player today. So it would sting. I love Siakam, though. Would be so happy to see him achieve that. But how far away is Pascal Siakam? You let me know in the chat. You let me know in the comments. I think he's far away. I would give him about a 5% chance right now. I'd give him a 30% chance if he wins Finals MVP, and I'd give him a 60 to 70% chance if he gets 2 more All-Star appearances and whatever else he could possibly achieve, because the Pacers are good. The East is not. No telling if the Pacers could even go back to this position next year and further years to come. Interesting one to think about. It reminds me of when the Bucks won their championship in 2022. It reminds me a little bit of Chris Middleton, because I asked at the time, how far is Chris Middleton away from the Hall of Fame? How many more All-Star appearances? How many more championships? Because he was probably in the ballpark of somebody who was like, okay, yeah, it's not like it's not egregious to think that he could do this. What is Chris Middleton's Hall of Fame probability? He probably isn't super high. Yeah, Chris Middleton's actually lower than Siakam on this probability index. 2% for Siakam, 1.7 for Middleton. He just kept getting hurt. I mean, they won the championship in 2022. Yeah, so coming off that, you're thinking 30, still really good. A champion now, 3-time All-Star. If he gets two more All-Star appearances, the Bucks win another chip. He could do it, but he wasn't healthy, so that killed it. He will not be in the Hall of Fame, but he had a chance after this season. Boy, did Chris Middleton have a pathway to the Hall of Fame after this, but it just, sometimes luck isn't on your side, and it wasn't on the side of him, but there was enough on his side to win a championship, and for some people, that's more than enough. That's more than enough for sure. Lakers bubble chip, worst chip of all time. I don't know, man. I saw LeBron at the end of it holding the Larry O'Brien trophy, right? Were they not holding the Larry O'Brien trophy? Were they not the NBA champions? Right? Pascal was already a Hall of Famer. I don't think so, but I'd love it for him. We do have a lot of viewers today. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. If you guys are enjoying, please make sure you've hit the like button. I haven't checked once the likes today because I've just been rolling. We're almost done here for today as well. How many likes we got? 36. We've averaged like 100 viewers here. Let's pump it up to 50 plus at least before I head out. If you're watching, you haven't hit the like button, please do so. Last sections of questions, and then I'm going to lock it up here. Patrick McCaw's going first ballot Hall of Fame. Hey, 3-time NBA champ, 1-time G League champ. He's a winner. He is a winner. I don't even think he needs this championship. Just need more All-Star appearances. Well, yeah. I mean, they have a lot of people, but I don't think he'll stack up enough. Like he'd have to make like 6 or 7. He'd have to make 3 at least more All-Star teams, and probably 1 or 2 more All-NBA teams. Then he's in discussion too. And you know what? That's not egregious. Like he's still top of his game. The Pacers are still really good. The East is not going to be good. He could very easily be All-NBA and All-Star next year. And you're right. Even without a championship, he could be back like this year. He could still get to that conversation. You're right. We paid Siakam, wouldn't be this flexible. Yeah, but you'd have Siakam. So you would need the flexibility because Siakam's really good. He was, as many Raptors players have been. I think Raptors fans do these guys no favors with the insane treatment they get off a lot of people negatively. Oh, but I was telling you guys about the Hoop Collective I was listening to. The way they were, like I told you, like it was sour to them talking about how good OG, Pascal, Fred VanVleet were this season, and we had all 3 of them. What I fucking can't fucking stand, as much as I sour that, these guys wouldn't even be able to fucking pronounce OG Anunoby's goddamn name if he wasn't on the New York Knicks. Like all this icy edits. Thank you for trying. Welcome to the amateur army. All these American media members going, oh my goodness, these guys played for the Raptors like 1.5 years ago. They had Siakam, Anunoby, and Scotty Barnes, right? What a team. Can you believe they all played on the Raptors at the same time? Like the level of disrespect so many players have got. They wouldn't even know how to pronounce OG Anunoby's name. The amount of Knicks fans who are like, man, I thought Raptors fans were crazy the way they talk about OG Anunoby. Now I understand, because he was fantastic in the playoffs for the New York Knicks as well. But like the way Norman Powell is treated now, the way Fred VanVleet is treated sometimes, not as much as the others, the way OG Anunoby, oh my God, the way OG Anunoby gets talked about now, the way Siakam is now getting talked about, winning Eastern Conference Finals MVP, goodness gracious. We knew all along they were good. But there's so many fans who fucking hate everything about this team. Like, people say there's so many NBA fans who hate basketball, which is true. Because, like, this finals, it's two very fun teams. Maybe not the greatest of matchups, but was there a matchup that existed for the Thunder in the East? No, I don't think so. I'm happy that, I think the Pacers have been great. They've been really fun to watch. I think OKC's great. Been really fun to watch. People are just complaining, oh my God, small market, boo, NBA will hate this. But, God, so many Raptors fans fucking hate the Raptors. They hate everything about this team. So we do ourselves no favors as well. We complain, I'll complain about this, but there's so many fans who hate them when they're here as well. Goodness, the years I had to spend defending Pascal Siakam. Oh, my God. I never wavered. I never did. If you've been here from day one, you know. I never lost my faith in him or Fred VanVleet or OG Anunoby. It sucks. It sucks to hear the people speak about them now when they had their chances to talk about them when they were here. If Pascal the first big name from Basketball Without Borders, I think that holds more impact. That does help his candidacy. Absolutely. Does help him. 10th best team in the East. We were really good once we traded for Pirtle. And then we had a one-and-done playoff game where everyone shit their pants at the free throw line because DeMar DeRozan's daughter was screaming. They're good after the deadline. The Jakob Pirtle trade 1 year earlier, this whole thing is different. This whole thing changes. The entire outlook changes. Guys have their eyes on Jalen Green. Take your eyes off him, please. The way Kawhi was treated for the playoffs 2018, just media. It's true. But no, it's the Raptors fan base is extraordinarily toxic towards its own players. I'm sure Barnes is feeling it right now. I'm sure Quickly's feeling it right now. I'm sure Siakam felt it. Fred VanVleet has discussed how he felt it. For sure. And I know I'm always talking about trading RJ Barrett. I always have to preface, I like him. I think he's great. The team isn't really a great fit. That's it. DeAndre DeRozan. Well, I think the Raptors probably would have lost. They might have lost the second game and still not made the playoffs, so who knows. But that was a bad one. Anyways. Well, no. Fred, in the end, yeah, we weren't matching Houston's offer, were we? But not as should have capitalized on his value before that. Anyways, not as upset there. Siakam and OG are just if I saw how quickly the rebuild would be no longer rebuild, I would have said just pay them, and I'd rather keep these guys together. Also because real All-Stars. Wait, what was the first 4 words of that comment? Scotty was All-Star. The 5 words if you use correct English. Scotty was All-Star. So I didn't know this until just now. The NBA, when they select All-Stars, they take all of the All-Stars in NBA history. Okay? And they rank them. They go, okay, who was the best All-Star ever? Who was the worst? Sky Barnes, I guess he's at the bottom of the list, which means, fuck, he sucks. You're an All-Star or you're not. Was Scotty Barnes an All-Star? Yes or no? End of discussion. Am I going to go fucking back to... How many All-Star appearances does Devin Booker have? Am I going to look at Devin Booker and say 4-time All-Star? Well, actually, 3-time All-Star, 1-time injury reserve. So technically 3-time All-Star. No, he's a 4-time All-Star. Period. Scotty Barnes, 1-time All-Star. Period. Pascal Siakam, 3-time All-Star. Period. That's it. Everyone's all these asterisks. Everyone loves an asterisk. Raptors championship. KD was injured. He deserved to be an All-Star. You know what? It was egregious that he had to be an injury replacement because he should have been one to begin with. But it's how you are, you aren't. Roy Hibbert. God bless him. Absolutely one of the worst all-stars ever. But you know what? He was an all-star. And there's a lot of players who will never be an all-star. Roy Hibbert was an all-star. You're right. He did it. What did Roy Hibbert have to put up to be an all-star? Pascal was seriously misutilized that season, but Barnes did make it over him. You're right. This two-time all-star. He made the all-star team twice. He was second in DPOY voting one year. Oh my God. This is like he is like worse than Rudy Gobert, and he made 2 all-star teams. He is like he's an 11 point per game player who averaged 7.5 rebounds in his prime. And was really good on defense. He wasn't even efficient. How fucking he's 7'2". 7'2". He averaged 45% shooting from the field as a 7'2" big man who took 1 fucking 3 all season. No, 4 threes? Let's see. He took 1 3 all season. Oh, this wasn't his all-star year, to be fair. This was 44% shooting from the field. 7'2". He made 2 out of 5 threes that season. He took 5 threes. So none of his field goal percentage was distorted by shooting threes. A 7'2" big man who took 749 of his 754 field attempts from 2. He shot 44%. He had 6.6 rebounds per game, and he made an all-star team. That is egregious. What happened that year? How did Roy Hibbert make an all-star team that year? But you know what he did? He made it. And it's yes or no. It's black and white. He either was or he wasn't. He was. God. Wow. That's... Yo, find me, guys. Find me a worse all-star, please. Kyle Korver? Let's not. Come on. Kyle Korver was a flamethrower. Find me the worst all-star since 2000. Who is it? Okay, let's find it. All right. Kyle Korver. Atlanta were amazing that year. Okay, if you're going to shoot 49.2% from 3, you might be an all-star, okay? If your team's going to win like 60-something games, wow, that was expected. If you're going to win 60 games and shoot 50% from 3, shit, you might be an all-star, okay? Fred is far from the worst all-star we're going to come up with here. Al Horford, DeMarcus Cousins. Fred, in his all-star year, averaged 20 points per game, 37% from 3. Down year, field goal percentage is low because he shoots a lot of threes, and he's not a good finisher. What's his true shooting? It probably wasn't great either. Let's defend him a bit. What was his true shooting? 55. Still wasn't that good. But shot a lot of threes at least. Had 6% assists. He deserved to be an all-star. Jeff Teague. Let me see. Jeff Teague. What did he do? 15.9, 7 assists. I think the NBA saw a 60-win team and went, or on pace for that type of shit and went, okay, they kind of need 2 all-stars. I hate how they do that. Jeff Teague's got to be up there. But an all-star. Antonio Davis. Jamal Magloire. Let's try him. Let's try Antonio Davis. All-star. 13.7 points per game. 10 rebounds, though. 43% shooting. Must have been mid-range king at the time. That's a pretty bad one, but he made it. 2 M's. 2 A's. Wow, that's okay. All-star with the Hornets. 13.6 points per game, 10 rebounds. Yeah, that's got to be a lower tier one as well, doesn't it? You know, the old players who make it, they're just kind of in just because, like, we can't imagine them not being in. So you're right. You know, some of the older Dirk and Wade years, yeah, there's going to be some. You're right. I don't want to consider those, but you're right. You're right. Anton Jamison, who the Raptors drafted ahead of Vince Carter, by the way, and then traded him for Vince Carter. Okay. 14th in MVP voting. So he got an MVP vote this year. 21 points, 10 rebounds. That's an all-star. 19 points, 7.6 rebounds. Not fantastic shooting, but, you know, mid-range era. 19.6 points. This is not the worst we're going to see. That's pretty close. Tyrone Hill. This is fun. The stream I was going to end 20 minutes ago is now still going because of this. 13.8 points, 11 rebounds, 50%. You know, basically, like, to make for a center to be an all-star, like 14 and 10. And you're probably going to get in this era, is what we're seeing. Give me, like, DeMarcus Cousins. He was a baller in his day, to be fair. Multi-time. Yeah, 27 points per game here. Like, this is not a bad all-star. This is a guy who was, like, making all NBA teams, right? Give me a non-center, because the non-centers, I mean, the centers are like, you know, they're going to rim protect. They're going to get 14 and 10 and maybe sneak all-star. Okay, another center. Chris Kaman, the caveman. All-star in 2009-10. 18.5 points, 9.3 rebounds, 49% from the field. This is a guy that could be an all-star, right? He averaged 10 plus points per game for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 years in a row, he averaged 10 points per game or higher. That's fine. Oh, Adrianus. Ilgauskas. Zidrunas, whatever it is. Big Z. Yeah. This might be bad. Let's have a look. Okay, 17 points per game, 7.5 rebounds on really good teams. LeBron carried him. But hey, those are all-star numbers. There's been worse. Roy Hibbert has the worst we've seen. Kenyon Martin, let's see. 0304, 16.7 points. Power forward, 9.5 rebounds. DPOY, we have to remember, so really good defender. DPOY votes. That's not that bad. And they were 47-35. They weren't that good, but that's not crazy. Sabonis is really good. I'm not going to even look at Sabonis. Surely not. Jameer Nelson. Oops. 2 M's or something? 2 E's. You never know. The Mighty Mouse. Oh, you ain't the Mighty Mouse. 16.7 points, 5 assists, 50% shooting. Now that saves him. 6 feet tall, but shooting 50% from the field. I was going to say, no way. Probably not. But that's 45% of 3. That's very impressive. I'm not gonna roast this one. Jameer Nelson's got my vote there. Al Harrington. Let's see. We gotta find one. I've yet to find one where I'm like, no way. He was never an all-star. Tough. Dale Davis. One-time all-star. Another center, but okay. Double D, D squared. Cool nicknames. Oh, boy. I think we found one. 10 points, 10 rebounds, 50% shooting. A down year efficiency-wise. Oh, boy. Indiana were good at least. 50s. Yeah, they probably just went, they need another guy in here. This is up there. This is absolutely up there. Dale Davis is absolutely one of the worst All-Stars of all time. But he was an All-Star. Remember that. That's a good one. First one, I'm like, that is absolutely a bad All-Star. Theo Ratliff, I think I saw. Good defender. 2-time All-Defense. Let's see. His 1-time All-Star. 7th in DPOY, so we have to remember defense. 12 points, 8.3 rebounds. I don't really know these guys, so, like, I don't know if Dale Davis, Double D, had a really good defensive year, but this isn't great either, though he was a good defender. Only 7th, though. I mean, it wasn't like he was DPOY or anything. Whale, Sherbiak. Wally, sorry. 9 years in the league, made it once. Jesus Christ. Zerbiak. All right. 18.7 points. I mean, 19 points a game on 50% shooting. In that era. That's an all-star, man. 45. That's an all-star. Come on. Eric Snow. You know what? Andre Iguodala. He did have like that high-scoring year with Philly. I wonder if he'll make this. Eric Snow didn't make it. Andre Iguodala. He'll probably be in the Hall of Fame, to be honest. Ooh. Ah, man. 12.4 points. 45% from the field. Really good defender. 39% from free. Really good defender, remember. 6 rebounds, 5.5 assists. Yeah. That is not a great all-star year. Andrew Wiggins, yeah. Andrew Wiggins shouldn't have been an all-star. Andrew Wiggins wouldn't have been an all-star. I mean, game is different. 17.2 points per game. Andrew Wiggins actually wouldn't have been an all-star if it wasn't down to the fan vote to determine the starters, and a K-pop artist tweeted Andrew Wiggins hashtag NBA All-Star and got so many fucking retweets that tweet alone made Andrew Wiggins start an All-Star game on a team he wouldn't have even been a part of if the rules were in place of today. Now fan vote isn't as heavily skewed, but Andrew Wiggins was the one that got that rule changed. Okay. Last one. Last two I'll look up. Brad Miller and BJ Armstrong. Then I actually have to go. I actually have to go. Because I need to leave. Brad Miller. 2-time All-Star. Another center. But 14. Yeah, 14 and 10. 13 and 9. That 13 and 9 season isn't very impressive. That's a pretty rough one. But this is an all-star year based on what we've seen. This probably isn't. But he did get there twice. All right, last time. BJ Armstrong. No. What? Who did I see? BJ Armstrong. What? Oh, it said 1 year. That's why. What? Oh, 1990 to 2000. I saw 1999. I was like, what is it? 1 year played. Okay. 93-94. So Bulls won the chip. 15 points. 4 rebounds. Sorry, 4 assists, 2 rebounds. 47.6% of the field, 44% from 3. Yikes. That's a pretty good one. Yikes. How the fuck did that make it? I guess because like he shot really well, but yeah, man, that's a tough one. Yeah, Spud Webb wasn't an all-star, was he? Yeah, Spud Webb wasn't an all-star. He was just dunk contest GOAT because he was super small. Muggsy Bogues didn't make an all-star team either. Yeah, no accolades. Anyways, guys, that was fun. Fun little rabbit hole to dive down. If you guys enjoyed the stream today, please, please, please hit that like button. We're at 48 likes. Two more people watching. Let's get to 50. And that'll do it. Do I think trading Scott Artifiance is good? I tell you what, either rewind this stream or go to the video I posted today. Two choices. You have my answer. Thank you, everybody. I'm off to see Friendship, new Tim Robinson movie. I love Tim Robinson. Hopefully it's good. Have a great week, everybody. Videos should be on Thursday, and we'll have another Amateur Answers on Saturday. Stream. See you next week. Bye, everybody.